It's the Matt Sager Podcast. I'm Matt Sager, asking the most important question. Am I more horse than man, or more man than horse? It's a kind of existential question we all find ourselves facing, especially Bojack Horseman, titular star of the best Netflix animated series ever, in my not-so-humble opinion. I actually brought up Bojack on this show a few days ago while discussing another Netflix animated series, Disenchantment. Discussing Netflix animated shows and the topic of world building and how it affects different people in different ways, and how Bojack in particular immediately spoke to me in a way that it didn't necessarily speak to everyone. The AV Club, for instance, when season 1 of Bojack premiered, they watched episodes 1 through 5 of the first season, gave it something like a D- and a hateful review. 3 episodes later, they recanted their review and said, we're scrapping our entire review methodology, because it turns out this show is off the charts great. Now, I happen to grasp that reality immediately, but maybe it's because Bojack and I have more in common than most people in cartoon horses have in common with one another. Bojack, voiced by Will Arnett, is a recovering 90s television star who starred on a sitcom, a fictional one of course, called Horsin' Around. You need to be able to suspend a certain amount of disbelief. This is very much magical realism, but Horsin' Around was basically sister-sister if Tia and Tamara were raised by a fun-loving bachelor who was also a horse. His biographer and once and potentially future love interest, Diane, is played by Alison Brie. His sidekick slash guy who won't leave his house slash guy he doesn't really want to leave his house. His best friend, Todd, is played by Aaron Paul. His agent, a lovable cat named Princess Carolyn, who, like every other character on the show, is actually steeped in all kinds of sadness. It's played by the great Amy Sedaris. And Diane's married to a dog innocently named Mr. Peanut Butter, who's played by the amazing, hilarious Paul F. Tompkins. That's just the first few stars, the headliners of this all-star show. Other voice actors include, Patton Oswalt plays a publisher, Pinky Penguin. Say that 3 times fast, I dare ya. And of course, there's more. A very cool, very well-written, very deeply fleshed-out character, a movie producer named Kelsey Jennings, with whom Bojack has a very complicated relationship. It's played by comic actress Maria Bamford. At one point, he was dating a woman, Wanda, who was played by Lisa Kudrow. So there's people and animals, but they're all played and voiced by wonderful human voice actors. And the show is amazing. Now, again, it leaped out at me immediately because Bojack's deal is he came from a very broken home. He was a damaged guy whose first real break in life came in the form of show business. He starred in a sitcom in the 90s and became addicted to the fame. The hollowness of it was sort of attractive to him because coming from this damaged background, he doesn't really know what love is. I mean, classic example. A couple hours ago, I was having dinner with my mom. This is a true story. I was telling her about the podcast. Her one remark, I wouldn't listen to that. Yet, no kidding. This is only episode 25. I've been checking my metrics, and no one with the last name Sager has listened to this podcast, and that's totally fine. During the 3 years I was on K-Rock, the 2 years I was on Q104, the multiple years I was on MTV, to the best of my knowledge, not even my episodes of Celebrity Deathmatch have been watched by anyone in my family. I get Bojack on a cellular level. I relate to him much more than I would like. I would much rather be a Mr. Peanut Butter who stumbles through life and just literally falls into success, happiness, love. Eventually it does get a little bit tricky for him, but it seems the more simple he gets, the better things go for him. It's only when he really tries that things become an issue. It's those of us who can't help but get wrapped up in our own anxiety, that become our own worst enemies, that attract other enemies. It's a whole thing. If you're even the slightest fan of quality animation for adults, if you have any familiarity with the inner workings of the entertainment industry, or with complicated relationships, with romances and friendships gone wrong, and with anxiety, Bojack Horseman is kind of the best thing ever. I'd almost describe it as medicinal, and it's also funny as hell and incredibly topical. Bojack took on what we're now calling Me Too and Time's Up years before it was something we were discussing publicly, something we were acting on, something that society really acknowledged and understood. And I'll grant you, in the real world, we're really still struggling with that. And so is the animated world in which Bojack Horseman takes place. There was a very Cosby-like character who first appeared in, I believe, the second season of Bojack. His name was Hank Hippopopoulos, and he was a lovable TV dad who wore goofy sweaters and had been around for ages, and who could possibly, but for the dozens of assistants and co-stars who had been cowed into silence, pun obviously not intended, and who were an open secret of having been abused by this lovable hippo. Bojack uses anthropomorphism and magical realism to interject really important things into our discussion in a way that, on the surface at least, is quite innocuous, and yet in a way that is quite important and incredibly prescient. Because now Season 5 has premiered. You can watch it on Netflix today, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. And if you haven't watched the first 4 seasons, I would honestly start there. Again, discounting the AV Club and their initial issues with it, which they got over quite quickly. You know, by episode 6, they were in love with this show and have been ever since. They're already raving about Season 5. And like the AV Club, you may need a few episodes to really understand, oh wow, this is not a bunch of goofy jokes. This is a really deep, multi-layered comedy and drama, and I really care about these characters. Yes, it's animated. Yes, they're animals. But my God, this is so real. This speaks to me so deeply. And again, you needn't be me. You needn't be a guy who, kind of like a dumb cartoon horse, stumbled into showbiz in the 90s, had a bunch of weird problems, some brought about by my own internal crap because of my upbringing and whatever other damage I gathered along the way, others traps that I just might have been more inclined to stumble into because of those reasons, and other stuff that I just did because I have no excuse because I'm an idiot and I was young and stupid, and I had to deal with it, had to deal with the repercussions, rebuild where I could, and start again, and repeat this process again and again and again until we're basically old and gray and eventually dead. Call it a new season of the Matt Sager Show, if you will. Just because I got over the stuff that happened to me in one radio station doesn't mean I didn't cause a problem entirely of my own making in the next television project I involved myself in. Bojack and I, we are spirit animals. Again, pun not intended. I can't recommend this show highly enough. I'm a huge Bojack fan. Always have been. And it's just the best. The weekend's coming up. I really, really hope that you're all safe. I think there are 4 concurrent hurricanes going on right now. If you're not caught up in that or any other dangerous or time-consuming situation, take a few hours and binge on some Bojack. That's right. I'm openly advocating that you spend the weekend immersing yourself in the world of horse. Bojack is one of those series that's so good, so new, so fresh, so original, it just kind of changes the game. It really is something special and unique. And this season, by the way, they take the Me Too thing and address it head on, because now reality has caught up with fiction, and so they're going even deeper. They're tackling it really, really directly. Not only the harm it causes, not only the carte blanche to abuse that has been going on for decades and decades, and yes, they address this in the form of scandals going on in their cartoon universe, but that universe and those characters are, of course, obvious reflections of our real world and our real problems, and in a very real way. I'm not going to go into detail or spoil anything. Don't worry. I'll discuss reviewing this on Monday after you've had a chance to catch up, but in a much more real, detailed, specific way. They really go into, some of this is comedically exaggerated, obviously. Again, I have to keep reminding myself and you, we're talking about a cartoon horse, a cat, rabbit, various birds, turtles, iguanas. Like, yeah, it is a cartoon. But they go into an enormous amount of detail that's all too realistic, I'm afraid, about how people are and are not exempt from the consequences of their actions and the harm that they incur on others. How easy it is for some of them to just sort of say, yeah, locker room talk. You know how it goes. Or how could you even consider it? Look at this adorable sweater I'm wearing in this sitcom from the 80s. Who could possibly imagine I'm doing something suspicious with my espresso maker? You see what I'm saying? You just have to watch Bojack. You gotta meet the characters. You've got to immerse yourself in Hollywood. There's a whole reason why the D has been removed from the Hollywood sign. And again, it's why you need to watch season 1. There are running gags that are hysterical. Not dumb, goofy, Bazinga type gags, but real deep recurring jokes that speak to and expound upon and deepen the characters and the world. It's now a fully realized cartoon animal universe. But it all starts a little bit, again, not so much for me, I loved it right away, but for some, a couple of initial episodes that sort of ease you into it. Take you from going, what is this, to, oh my God, where has this been all my life? You get through that, you watch the D disappear from the Hollywood sign, get to really understand what's going on with Bojack. And much like me in Disenchantment, when I first reviewed that, I was halfway through a 10-episode run. And at the time, I was not immediately convinced. However, immediately after talking about that on this show, I went and watched episode 6 and suddenly it clicked. I got it. I was hooked. And I love it now. If you haven't yet had the pleasure of experiencing that with Bojack, I promise you will. So do yourself a favor. There is no finer, with apologies to Disenchantment, Netflix original animated series than Bojack Horseman. I'm pretty sure that even including House of Cards, even including Ozark, and certainly Orange is the New Black, which I kind of think shat the bed last year, I think Bojack may well be the best Netflix original series, period. Certainly better than, for instance, another Will Arnett property, the sadly mishandled, rebooted Arrested Development. Nah, if you want to see Will Arnett really kicking ass, really showing his strengths, he is as good a voice actor as he is a comedic actor, if not better. Same with Aaron Paul, believe it or not, and same with Allison Brie, Paul F. Tompkins, Amy Sedaris, and the rest. It's just an all-star animated hootenanny. I can't believe I just said hootenanny. Watch Bojack Horseman already. That's my point. Have a great weekend, and please stay safe. Also, I'd really love it if you left me reviews and subscribe to this podcast. It's available, as far as I know, on Spreaker, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, my website, mattsagervoiceover.com, I think Pocket Casts, pretty much anywhere you can get podcasts. But if you can't find the Matt Sager podcast on your podcast provider, please ask them to carry it. And in the meantime, please subscribe on your provider of choice. Leave me reviews, preferably 5 stars. But hey, look, I could take it from my mom. I can certainly take it from you. If you've got something negative to say, I'll suck it up, take it, and probably swallow a dozen Klonopin and cry myself to sleep. No, I'll be fine. Tell me what you think. I really want to know. And get in touch with me for that matter. Email matt@mattsager.com. Call 646-535-4788 and you can leave me a voicemail. I'll happily call you back. Put you on the show if you like, if you're not expounding hate or something like that. Oh, and here's a thing. Let's play a trivia game. Let's see. What's a good prize I could give out? All right, if you win this trivia contest, it's Bojack trivia. It's a very, very hard question. So if you get this right, I'll have you on the show with me. Again, as long as you're not propagating any kind of hate or violence. If you've got something to promote, something to plug, I'll have you on and you can do whatever you like. Question is, Bojack Horseman Season 3. It revolves largely around an ill-fated show, not Bojack's show Horsing Around, but a show he did after that called The Bojack Horseman Show. It aired in 2007. It was a big, big failure. He thought it was going to reboot, reinvent his career. He was going to take all these crazy chances, and it was just every bad instinct. No one was there to say, whoa, don't do this. And even as the opening credits roll, he gasps and shudders and realizes that he's quite possibly destroyed his career for good. As we, of course, learn later on, he did get his second, third, fourth, etc. chance. But this did look like the end. And justifiably so. It was a train wreck. And it was based on a real-life show. Do you know what it was? This, too, features a very respected comedic actor who started off as a big television star, who is now enjoying both television and movie stardom, but who had a show on, okay, I'll give you a hint, on Fox in 2007 that premiered to great fanfare and anticipation, and the next morning was immediately on the brink of cancellation. It lasted, I think, maybe 6 weeks before everyone bailed completely, realizing, oh my God, what have we done? This was a terrible, terrible set of mistakes we've made. Tell me the name of that show, and you get the prize of carte blanche, promoting whatever you like, or talking about whatever you like, proposing to your girlfriend or boyfriend or what have you. You get free airtime on the Matt Sager podcast. Again, my contact info is matt@mattsager.com. Phone is 646-535-4788. And you can hit me up on social media, too. Twitter's @MattSager, Instagram's Real Matt Sager, Facebook is The Matt Sager, and my voiceover page is Matt Sager VO. This podcast page is Matt Sager Podcast. And for more social media links, articles, blog posts, my contact info, my voiceover reels, and a whole bunch more, check out mattsagervoiceover.com. See you Monday.